All right. Osio, Maburiga, Buenti Gunyo. Welcome to the Red Road East. I am your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. Now, I know that it's been a long time since I've done a show on the YouTube channel. And, you know, there's just been a lot going on personally. I had also, a couple of little health challenges during the winter season when, a lot of the bugs were going around and stuff like that. However, you know, as y'all know, I am into holistic medicine and naturopathic methods of healing. So, fortunately, where a lot of people would have needed to have been hospitalized, I was able to utilize my knowledge of natural medicine to heal myself. Okay. So, without further ado, today's show is entitled Garifuna, the People, Culture, and a Language Extinct. This particular show is dear to me because this is centered around my maternal lineage. And as y'all know, I don't get a chance to really talk a whole lot about my maternal lineage. I've been, most of the shows have, dealt with, even though the Red Road East is an indigenous TV program dedicated to archiving and preserving the history, legacy, and culture of the indigenous peoples of the Americas east of the Mississippi River and the Caribbean. Most of my guests, because we're here in North America, are centered around the shows have been centered around the North American aspect. So I'm happy and honored tonight to have a guest who is going to talk about the island indigenous people. Okay. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest who actually teaches the Garifuna language. Okay. And we are joined with none other than Arufudahatu Nisani. Okay, so I'm going to bring on Arufudahatu Nisani.
Witirabang Weyu, Hunsungu Bay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Pierce. I'm
Oh,
excited.
you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Yeah. So we finally get a chance to make this happen. And I am overjoyed to have you on and talk about our people. And I would like to start off with having you introduce yourself and what inspired you to teach the language.
Yeah, sure. Witirabang Weyu. Good evening, everybody. Nisani Niri Bay. My name is Nisani, and yeah, it's nice to be on. So, what inspired me to teach Garifuna? I was given the opportunity to teach Garifuna from one of my language teachers. And in November of 2023, that was about a little over a year ago. And Garifuna was always something that I was passionate about and had positive associations and fun learning through music with my first teacher, Arufudahati James Lavelle. He's a Garifuna drummer. And I saw being a teacher as a really amazing opportunity to expand on all of my transferable skills and my talent for connecting with people, singing, teaching what I learned in previous Garifuna courses that I took, and advancing in my own way as a student in Garifuna as well, and also staying connected to an amazing online community. And that being said, I'm also really, really grateful that I am a teacher in such a special community and that we have a really strong online community that's still continuing to grow to this day. So the support means everything.
Yes, yes. Now, for those in YouTube land, Facebook land, and all of the various outlets that this show will be broadcasted, for those who don't know, who are the Garifuna people or the Garinagu?
Yeah, so the Garifuna people are an Afro-Indigenous group of blended West African, Arawak, and Carib descent that hail from the countries of Belize, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we're a very, very small group, but we have a very unique and uplifting culture.
Okay, great, beautiful. And so now the language, for those who don't know, what is the language that the Garifuna people speak?
So we speak a language of the same name called Garifuna. So Garifuna is normally used to refer to the ethnic group of the people. But if you are also speaking in like a plural, you would also want to use Garinagu, but can be used to refer to our language, Garifuna.
Okay, beautiful. And what distinguishes the Garifuna language from other indigenous languages?
Yeah, this was one of my favorite things to talk about because Garifuna is the only Arawakan language that's spoken in Central America. All the other Arawakan languages are spoken now these days in like South America, but it is the only one spoken in Central America. And it's also the last surviving indigenous Caribbean language spoken, coming from the Igneri dialects in the Lesser Antilles. And while Garifuna is an Arawakan language, Garifuna is also unique in that it takes some influence from Carib, French, Spanish, English, and Bantu in some Garifuna loanwords. And while indigenous DNA is in many Caribbean people's blood, we are the only group that has maintained our native language and culture to the extent that we have. And so our language tells a story, the journey of our people, you know, who we are, where we come from, what we stand for, you know, the different types of attempted displacement and genocide of our people. And most importantly, how we continue to resist and thrive and, just keep our beautiful culture alive. So that is something that I am very, 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 very proud of. Only Arawakan language spoken in Central America, and also, um, the last surviving indigenous Caribbean language spoken.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah. And approximately how many Garifuna speakers are still speaking the language today?
Good question. In terms of exact numbers, I don't have like exact statistics on exact numbers, but
Hmm.
the population I know for a fact of native Garifuna speakers is definitely dwindling because the language is considered endangered. In 2001, Garifuna was labeled for intangible, heritage and something that should be preserved. But from back then, the numbers were already dwindling in how many youth speak the language, especially in their households in Central America, and the descendants of you know immigrants, people who come from Central America that sent their kids and like their grandkids that live in America. Less and less youth are speaking the language, unfortunately. But that's also exactly why I'm teaching right now with an organization, a nonprofit called Garifuna For Non-Speakers, and I will talk a little bit more about what we do there in just a second.
Good, good. Now, what do you feel is the reason for a lot of the youth not speaking the language, and for the number of speakers dwindling?
That is another really good question. One of the reasons why I feel that is assimilation. Um, these days, with social media and so many influences being out there, it can be really, really easy to drown out the voice that is most authentic to you when you're lost in other people's lives, what everybody else is doing, and how everybody presents themselves. And when you look at other people's lives enough, you start to want to emulate who they are or who you think they are and want what they have, even if it's not what is true to you. And so
Mm,
I think these days, a lot of the youth, unfortunately, are getting lost in wanting to be something that they're not. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't appreciate the dichotomy of your identity. Like for me, for example, I am a Garifuna American. So I am someone who is American by nationality, but I've also I'm connected to and in tune with my Garifuna roots. It also doesn't mean you have to be fluent in the language either. But that being said, staying grounded in who you are and having at least a basic idea of your ancestor story, where they come from, is most definitely encouraged. And unfortunately, in today's world, it's really, really easy to, lose that authenticity while getting caught up in what others are doing. And so, a really big aspect, in my opinion, is personally just wanting to be something that you're not, or getting too caught up in um, other things, other people's lives, that you forget your own roots, and in turn forgetting your own language, and not really being as interested. Again, it doesn't mean you have to be fluent in the language. By no means am I saying that or trying to push that down people's throats. But it's just more so, like, I guess, that interest dwindling because you're so hyper focused and not even wanting to know, like kind of being so caught up in just one identity that you forget that you have a universe of identities inside you, and it's up to you to explore that. So
mm,
um, I guess just getting really, really caught up in like American culture, and yeah, like forgetting your roots in the process. But then another thing as well is just Garifuna not really being spoken as much in homes, even in Central America. Like I said, that this is a thing. Even for me, this was a thing where I don't want to tell my family story or reveal too many details. But my grandfather is an immigrant from Honduras. He never taught any of his children Garifuna due to, just the process of migration and wanting to get his kids to America, and just, I guess, the basic um, need for survival first, and then building a life. And in that process, not really having as strong of that cultural connection, and passing it down. And that's where I come in to just try to um, reconnect what I always knew that I was, and what I was always proud of. I was always told from a child that I was Garifuna, and it was always something that I was really, really proud of. Nisani is a Garifuna name, um, and just trying to return to my roots. But like I said before, another thing is the Americanized culture to an extent. It doesn't even have to specifically be Americanized. It could be anywhere in the world, wanting to be something other than what you are, losing touch with their roots, and not really speaking as much in the households, or Garifuna not being taught in the home.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely can agree with that.
Mhm.
You
There's
know.
also colonial pressures too,
Mm.
because our people have been subject to so much oppression, attempted genocide, displacement, where the British literally, said, you cannot speak your language. Otherwise, we will, and I don't mean to put this graphically, but we will shoot you on the spot. It was that serious, where people could not speak their own native languages without being persecuted or killed, losing their lives, war being, like brought upon them as a people, and them being literally attacked. And so our ancestors figured, to preserve, to keep, to safeguard our own lives, we are going to stop. We're going to stop speaking. We'll still fight for our land, we'll still fight for our freedom. But that was a really, really big threat that I think also still has a stronghold on our people to this day, unfortunately, as well.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. You're very right. And from with my maternal line coming from Urame, you know, the culture, it's basically it was lost, when they exiled
Hmm.
the Garinagu to the different islands.
Yeah.
The culture went for the most part then because the British imposed their culture, there.
Hmm.
There's efforts now to bring it back, you know. It takes some time.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. Uh so how long would you say it would take one to learn the Garifuna language?
Um, I don't necessarily think that there's a particular timeline for learning really like any language, because I think it's all relative. It all depends on like your particular language goals, what fluency means to you in particular, and if you're even striving for that in the first place. How much time you have on your hands, your lifestyle, your study habits, resources, and like many other factors that just go into it. Much less that I think that you could learn um, or determine with an endangered indigenous language with a lifetime of knowledge to teach. And as a teacher and student, I also want to say that I'm still taking classes and learning, and will always be learning and improving, because language learning is not just the language, it's the lifestyle, the customs, the mannerisms and blunders that make any language journey worthwhile. And I also like that at Garifuna for Non-Speakers, you don't have to be a pro to pass on what you know. And speaking from day one and fully immersing yourself is already a really big step forward. And you're going to quickly come to understand as you take the classes from beginning that, you know, you already know more than you think. And
Mhm.
there's still many more amazing discoveries to make with the beautifully complex language that Garifuna is. And there's a lot of beauty in the journey as well, because the journey is the learning in and of itself, which is
Mhm.
also dynamic and continuous. Um, and with an online community, what I like as well is that you can expedite your learning to meet your particular goals on your own time outside of class time. And, everyone is there to support each other to meet their particular goals. So ultimately, there's no right or wrong. And yeah, it's just all a relative journey. And that's what I want people to take away from keeping the language alive is enjoy the process, enjoy the learning, understand that it's ever changing and just go with the flow. You know?
Mm. Yeah, true, true. Now, I'm thinking, so I know that there are going to be people who are going to watch this interview and they're still going to be saying in their minds, well, wow, this is my first time hearing about these people, the Garifuna. Oh, what is that? Or so for those people, explain to them uh, where you would find Garifuna people.
Yeah, so the Garifuna, it's interesting because in my mind, at least with my familial background, being from Belize and Honduras, Garifuna people have like a really, really rich culture. And we call many countries home due to our history of displacement. We have roots, of course, in Yurume, otherwise known as St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Um, but Garifuna people also have indigenous homelands in Belize, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, and Central America. Just uh, and also in the US as well, because there are a lot of people with Garifuna roots in Central America and the Caribbean. But as you go further down the line, as people migrate, move, there's also Garifuna people in, the States as well, in really major cities like LA, Chicago, Houston, New York. And so the Garifuna diaspora is pretty generously spread, despite us being a really small population. And yeah, there's a certain kind of unity I feel in that, in knowing you come from a very unique people, very small group of unique people that are also, you know, accessible in these really, really diverse cities and countries where, you can connect and just find that camaraderie. So, that's a very, very exciting part about the culture and the language and, you know, the possible futures for the revitalization of the culture and not of the culture, sorry, of the language itself and continuing to keep that rich culture alive.
Indeed, indeed. And I also know that here in New York, outside of Honduras, it's been said that the largest population of Garifuna people was right here in New York,
Hmm.
particularly in the Bronx.
It's
Uh,
true.
yeah, and there's a lot really to this culture and history, that a lot of people don't know, you know, and we're definitely going to get a chance to delve more into that. This is just the first of many interviews that we're going to do, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so what kind of classes do is offered at the Garifuna for Non-Speakers collective?
Yeah, so I'm very excited to talk about this. So once again, thank you to everybody who is on, everybody who's tuned in. My name is Arufudahatu Nisani or Nisani. And I teach beginner class at Garifuna for Non-Speakers. Garifuna for Non-Speakers is an online nonprofit, and it is a 10-week course that is a mix of lecture, reading, writing, and conversation all in Garifuna, so that you can not only start speaking, but understanding from day one with a really holistic breakdown. So I consider us like an online one-stop shop for Garifuna because we cover all aspects of the language and have a wide variety of online resources for you to learn Garifuna while accommodating your language journey wherever you are. We have 5 levels of courses: level 1A, B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. And we are creating a level 5A this new term that build on what was learned before so that you can continue to connect the language learning building blocks as you advance, refresh if you need to refresh, and also use Garifuna vocabulary in class scenarios. And the main component of our classes is always the phrase of the day, something that you can use in class as well as everyday speech. And it's facilitated in our guided conversations that you have with your other peers in the class. And alongside the phrase of the day, we teach how to spell and pronounce words as you go along. We have in class quizzes in case we need to clarify something or explain something better if needed. And alongside with like various flashcards, quizzes, games, crossword puzzles that you could take online at your leisure to complement what you've been learning in your level. Another really cool aspect of our classes is that higher levels can attend any lower level class that they've passed if they want a refresher. That makes it really easy for people to continue to improve wherever they are. So, whether you're a beginner, you are more advanced, there's literally a level for everybody. And the online spaces that we co-create also allow us to connect through our culture with the art of song. So sing-along classes are also available on our online platform that teach traditional and educational songs to learn more about Garifuna history, culture, and vocab. And the best part about this as well, one more thing I'm going to say, is that all Garifuna for non-speakers courses are accessible through mobile and desktop, making it really easy to join from wherever you are in the world. And like I said, that makes it very versatile. You can log in from wherever, on whatever platform, whatever level, wherever you are. You can tune in and find a teacher or a student, a fellow student to connect with you so that you can practice whenever you need that practice and get in touch with Garifuna um, wherever you are. And I just think that that's very very amazing and exciting, and it makes me excited for the new levels that we're going to continue to create and classes we're going to continue to offer as we continue to build and grow our audience and our supporters. And we just appreciate everybody that's been supporting thus far. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're excited for any new students that we might get, in the future.
Yes, yes. And for the viewers, I would also let you know that I am also a student at Garifuna for Non-Speakers, and I can say and vouch for the fact that yes, what they offer, it's like a one-stop shop, and the classes are incredible. Okay, they
Yeah,
have,
thank you.
oh yeah, for sure, and they have excellent teachers there who teach the language. Um, Arufudahatu Nisani is one of my teachers, you know, and I'm glad to have her on the show tonight, you know. And I'm just really excited to talk about this on the show and promote what y'all are doing. And, you know, like I said, this won't be the last show. Uh, Now, for those who, and also and for the price, I mean, you're getting so much for such a small fee. I mean, it's not something that's out of reach for
Yes.
those who want to learn. It's very affordable. Okay, very affordable.
Just
And
to add, for
mhm,
those who are newer, each of our classes is $25 USD. But even if you cannot pay the fee, we still offer things like scholarships, to accommodate those that still want to take the classes, but you know, don't really have the funds to do so. So if you want to come by and you're in a particular circumstance or situation and you still really want to take the classes, reach out to one of us. We have our email. Our email is support@garifunafns.com. Once again, support@garifunafns.com. To reach out if you're very interested in these classes. Feel free to reach out. Let us know.
it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Sereme, sereme,
Oh,
mia, mia bo.
yes, LMA, Wati Mageti. All right, folks. So there we have it. It's definitely been my pleasure to talk about the Garifuna people and to do this show. And, time flies when you're having fun. It really does. You know, I wish we could have gone on another hour or two, but, you know, there's always the next time. All right. And I thank you for joining us here. And I'll say until the next time, peace.